back to putting the wheel on. But before we put the wheel on, I want to see if our little grease ports are still greasable. Now right here's our cap. So when this is actually on the tractor, what I'm going to do is take off this little 1/4 inch plug, we'll say, and we'll be able to flush the good and the bad grease out. But it's pretty simple here. Grease goes in this way, goes in, and comes out that way. So here's our cap here. Just going to install the fitting on the end there. Let's see if grease goes through. Yep, pretty sweet. All right, now we know it's good to go on I keep accidentally calling it a tractor, the trailer plow. All right, so I did verify that the grease zerk on the side of the wheel here, which just sends grease right to the middle of the shaft here, which then goes onto this shaft, does work, but I'm still gonna put a little bit more grease on here, just so it makes me feel better. Now we will slide our wheel on. Remember your shim there, and if you need to shim it out a little bit, that's where you get less wheel play. Alrighty, she's on there nice and good. Next thing up, little made in Canada washer. Slide that guy on like so. And then our little pin goes in there just like that. And now that is what holds our wheel into place. You can tell we got a lot of play there, but it'll be fine. And then lastly, our cap. Now you could grease our cap. Now you could grease the cap by just packing a bunch of grease in there, just like you're packing bearings, but whatever. And then to tighten that cap up, that is just an 1.25 inch size wrench. Works better with the open piece. And the torque spec is yes. Now we're going to pop off this grease relief. I don't know what it's called. Now we're just going to pump it full of grease until grease comes out. That's how we know she's full. And that's awesome. It literally just twisted loose. Grease is awesome, guys. It prevents a lot of things from rusting. This plow sat for well over 2 decades, probably 3, maybe 4. Honestly, it could have been longer. And the grease in it was still good. Everything about it was still good. So that was pretty sweet. Now we're just going to pump a bunch of grease in there until grease comes out. Oop. I might need to get more grease. Oh, there's some grease. There we have it. Now she's plumb full. Usually I'd say flush out the bad grease, but the grease that was already in there before was pretty good, so I'm not that worried about it. And if you get a little dirt in there, that's fine. That just fills in the gaps. Totally doesn't make the gaps bigger. Yeah, sure. Sweet. Now she's all greased up and ready to plow. Good thing I'm wearing steel toe. And I decided that considering that setting this trip was so extensive, I'll just make that its own video. And then the next video I'm going to be doing on this is just setting the coulter here and getting it ready for the field. And by field, I mean the 1 acre we're going to plow. But a couple more videos on this guy, and then I'm working on the H. So the biggest problem that I think this plow has is this wheel right here. See? I honestly don't know what's going on there. It's missing a lot of stuff. And this wheel is just kind of resting on this shaft. And long term, I'm not a fan of that. I'm willing to operate it like this for the rest of the year. The rest of, there's only 2 months left in the year here, but I do want to have a permanent solution to this fix probably sometime next year or over this winter. So what I want to do right now is I want to take this off and I want to do an inspection here and just make sure this shaft isn't too destroyed, and maybe we can get a general consensus on what's wrong with it. Well, we know what's wrong with it, but how destroyed is it? All right. What is your story, bud? You just press in there, or you threaded? I don't know. Again, it's missing the cap. I think that just presses in there, and this is supposed to have a cap over it, just like the other side, but now that's so rusted into place, I hope we can bang it out. I'm not gonna bang out my nice diamond wrench though. Shout out to one of you guys called out your diamond wrenches. They're pretty cool. I think they're better than the Crescents, honestly. I don't know, I like this wrench. It's my grandpa's, just like all my tools. Wow. All right. Well, kind of did. She sort of busted free. Sweet. All right. Now, before I pull this through, we know that right here on the end, there's a lot of corrosion on that, and that's going to make pulling this through a bear. So I am going to clean that up with a wire brush, and then hopefully hot dog it on through. And a little bit of WD-40 to kind of just help us out a little bit. Yep, and then I'm just gonna have to gently tap it on through. There we go. Man, the old A10 Warthog never lets me down. Almost got her. Come on, buddy. Woo! Man, if there is any young aspiring mechanics out there, my #1 advice to you is get an air impact, an air chisel, and get a quality one. And fun fact, they do double as a jackhammer. All right, what's the damage? Yeah, she's pretty beat up. That's for sure. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I wonder if any of the parts from the Montgomery Ward's plow would bolt to this as well, if these wheels were also a general part. But if I wanted to properly repair this, what I would do is I would take this off. I'd probably cut it off right here, and then I would stick this in a lathe, turn it down so many thou, and then slide a repair sleeve on it, and then put the appropriate wheel on it and whatsoever. But the problem is I don't know what an appropriate setup really looks like on one of these. So we're just gonna take it as it goes. But yeah, putting it on here, that's probably like a good 1/8 of an inch of play. But hey, it'll still work. And it still has plenty of life left in it, even the way it was. But we'll see if we can do one thing right on this and see if I can find a replacement. This right here being our replacement. I'm not gonna lie, this wheel looks a lot similar to the one on the old Little Genius there. So I don't know if wheels were a general replacement part back then too. So I'm gonna measure the diameter of that one, and if they're the same, I might actually start taking stuff apart and trying to slide it on there. All right, so it looks like this is roughly 2 feet, pretty much on the dot. 23 inches. Oh, it's a little shorter there, so. Yeah, 23 inches to 2 feet. Now let's go over to this guy. All right, and that's about 23 feet to, or 23 inches to 2 feet. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna try and do this. And the diameter of that looks about the same. I'm just not gonna overthink it, and I'm just gonna do it. Oh, for Pete's sakes. You just love to pop off, though. I hope not. Probably not. Everything's fine. Oh my gosh. All right, never mind. Oh, oh great. Wow. Well, that happened. So, I'm guessing as that was squeezing down on there, unfortunately it actually broke the casting, which sucks. But on a brighter note, at least we can thread it off now. So, I guess we gotta look at the bright side of everything here, and that being, we got it loose, just not the way we wanted to. But that's truck driving. Unless it's this guy, it's supposed to back off. Why won't you come off of there? Gosh, that is so weird. Is it reverse thread? Oh my gosh. Well, that sucks. Reverse thread. Who would have thought? Oh well. Away she goes. Gotta remember that on some of this old stuff. Looks like this was actually brazed in the past too, so no, I don't feel as bad destroying this. Oh. Whew. This grease is a lot worse for wear. Yeah, I figured. A little bit of a cotter pin right here. Pin right here. Possible washer at all. I'll have to keep that in mind. I don't want to drop it out here. Yep, same thing. Same as the IH plow. So right here we got this little crown washer. Actually, is that a part of the wheel? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. She comes right on out. Ah, yep, there we go. It comes off. Let's see if this goes on the IH plow. Feel bad sticking a perfectly good wheel on this dirty, horrible shaft, but whatever. Is she just being tight, or is that the wrong size? Flip it around. Could be a lot of rust on there. It needs cleaning. Well, shoot. I can't tell if it's just struggling or that truly is the wrong size. Alrighty then. I could bust out a pair of calipers But I really think this is just gonna go on because it's so close. It's not like it can't, for lack of better words. I feel like if it was off, it would be substantially off. Yeah, see, I cleaned the end of it and now it's started to go in more. It's just a real tight fit, but it'll go in. I just need to clean out all this grease, which is a good thing. That's telling me that there's a lot of metal left in here and it didn't really get wallered, and I'm hoping this isn't super wallered. We got a lot of pitting, but I think with enough grease it'll be fine. So I'm just gonna keep cleaning it out in here and then hopefully we can just kind of slam her on in. All right, so next year we're gonna set the coulter. I got the coulter just kind of roughed up to get it, well, make a nice video and get it in the shop. But what we're gonna do here now is we're actually gonna set it properly. So you need it parallel with the beam. And obviously, as you can tell, it is not parallel, it's a little crooked. But we need it parallel with the beam, and it needs to be about 3/4 inches away from the landslide. Adjustment varies, but we're setting it for average right now. And in a more average, it was saying like type soil, you're gonna want the center of your disc to be more over the point of the share, but in more difficult ground, it should be well back of it. And we're gonna be doing virgin soil with this, and it's gonna be pretty junky and whatnot. So even though usually I think we'd be in an unideal situation, it worked out great. So this is set back of the share, a decent amount, honestly. I'd say it's about 3.5 inches back, so 3 inches-ish. So we'll see how it does. And this gap right in between here and the plow should be about 3/4 inches to 1 inch. And then there's one more adjustment here, and this has like a lot of play. Like it's actually designed to wiggle around, which I'm sure is obvious to a lot of you guys, but again, I'm new to plows. And I don't know where to set that, so I think I'm just gonna set it in the middle so it can go left or right a little bit, but I'll adjust it in the future if needed. So let's get this guy adjusted so she's parallel with the beam and 3/4 inches off the bottom of the landslide there. Now I think that is loose enough just to turn it some. Yeah. Oh, elbow right to the linkage. That felt great. Now right now we're just looking down to try and get it as parallel as possible with the frame here. There's actually not a lot of play in that, which is awesome. So that makes things a lot easier for us. Looks like it needs just a little bit adjustment that way. The finesse and patience of plow tuning. A lost art, gone to time. All right, how do you work? That's the thing that drives me crazy is I just don't know why that's got to pivot so much. Because I tighten that down and it won't stop that from moving. We'll get it figured out. I'll get back to you guys. All right, 3/4 of an inch. I think I need to bring that in a little bit more. About 1 inch and a little more. The thing that kind of sucks too about how I bring this in more and more, our share is getting farther and farther back here. Of course I could just flip this linkage completely around, but then our share will be all the way up here, which I think is how they're meant to be. Now that looks a lot better. Say that puts us right at about 3/4 inches. So after doing some digging on the internet, I finally figured out what this little lash adjustment means on the bottom here. So the reason that these coulters can go left and right a little bit is because just to adjust for things in the field. So like hitting rocks and for turning, making turns, so about 15 to 30 degree radius here. Wow, that is like so close to hitting the tripod. So that's what that is about. So you pretty much want your actual shaft itself to be set about 3/4 of an inches away from the inside of the plow board here. And well, I'll try and get in that area. I have it pretty much centered, so I think as long as my heart's in the right place here, we should be fine. I'd say now we're pretty golden. So I'd say in doing all this stuff on the plow, I am glad I got it set pretty close to factory specs, but it all varies, and they even say it in the book that, well, it varies for soil conditions, and you know, like set your fingers, from what I was reading online, set it so it's about 2 finger lengths above the share of the plow, while everyone's fingers are a little bit different. It all varies, so it's all within perspective. And we'll just have to fine tune it as we go, but honestly, we know by default it's a lot better. In fact, this thing's gonna plow a lot better than it ever has before, because we plowed even without a coulter. So now that we got a coulter on there, that's pretty sweet. But I'm still glad I went through the process so I can have a better understanding of learning how these plows work. That's all part of the fun and struggle of working with 70-plus-year-old equipment. So now that I got this set the way I want to, I got these tightened on down, this guy isn't going to move anymore. I'm just going to move this coulter little deflection setting where this nut in the front here is more set straight. So when I say nut, I'm talking about this guy right here. So that's just a little cockeyed, and I want that to be in the center so that this disc here, this coulter, has even deflection either way. Right now it's a little bit to the left, so it can't deflect as hard this way as it can this way. And I just want to make it more even. So that's already loose. Just hand tight. Pretty much backed all the way out. Just going to push on it a little bit. And hope I don't adjust this adjustment in the process. It looks like I am, so. Oh well, that's truck driving, so I'll have to go back and readjust my 3-inch gap between the share and the mold board, but that's okay. All right, I got her all set and adjusted. Now just to tighten things up. And then after we tighten everything up here, I think next thing we'll move on to is sharpening up that coulter with the angle grinder. I'd say that's pretty sharp. Now the last thing that I am going to do to this, because we're pretty much done. I could polish up the mold board, but I don't know how long this is going to be sitting. Roughly a month, but we'll polish it up the day we plow with it. So otherwise, there's not really much else to do on this tractor. I said it again. Trailer plow, except for, well, run it. And of course, run a actual rope through there. I don't have any like good nice rope for it, so we're just gonna have to use some baling twine. But I didn't even notice this was an actual, I saw this on here, I'm like, what the heck is that for? And then I watched a video and noticed a dude ran his twine right on through that. So I was like, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. So we'll get some twine, tie that up, and I think we'll wrap things up here on the trailer plow, and then I'm gonna go start working on the H. Next up here, I'll be running the trip string. Pretty simple. Runs right down through here. Wish I had a more official rope, because I don't know how much I can trust this twine, but worked before. I'll just bring it right down through here, and I'll be a little fancy with it. I'll church it up. I'll do a fisherman's knot. I won't do your average knot. Not that it'll matter, because it's baler twine. It's whatever. There's our trip. There we have it. That's the progress, guys, thus far on the Little Genius number 8 plow. I was not expecting to spend all day working on this thing, but I did, because, well, it started with this trip and I wanted to learn how it worked, and that's a separate video. Check that video out as well. It's the video before this one. I'll drop it in the corner here. But yeah, now I'm very familiar with this plow. There's still some things I got to learn, like adjusting the tail wheel and whatnot. I'd like to learn more about that, but we'll just take these things as we go. That wheel right there, I would like to fix that. There's just really nothing I can do about it. If I'm gonna run it, I'll make sure to grease the shaft up. It's been used before like that, it'll be fine, it's old steel. But we'll have to figure something out there. Kind of sucks the Ward's wheel won't go on. I had high hopes for that, but I wasted 30 minutes on that. I wasn't gonna waste another hour, so I don't think that'll work, but we'll see how it goes. A lot of auctions, they have steel wheels, and I might be able to just get another one. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, please comment, please subscribe, and hit that hype button as well. I appreciate you guys watching, and have a great rest of your night.